All right, hello everyone. Here we are post JP update, and there's a couple of things to talk about today. New characters, as well as just the fact that the latest app update I actually like. What? Really? Yeah, Umbra likes this update because whatever they did, they finally made the app run properly on my phone. It actually doesn't have as much hitching. I don't remember reading in the patch notes what specifically they changed, whether it was just more compatibility or with the current form of Android. Or point is that it's running really nice. The game is running really nice, and that makes me a happy camper. So today we have two characters to talk about, and starting in the first video, we're going to be talking about the surprise out of left field, Soul. Soul is a character from FFBE, who back in the day was kind of just a big major villain. He had a really cool design. He still has a really cool design. And overall, this character might in general just be better than all of the Final Fantasy VIII characters. But I put a huge caveat on that. So first off, taking a look here, now we already have our pre-built team, and there's a reason why the left team is what it is and the right team is what it is. But as you can see from what the equipment that we have here, you can see that Soul boasts about 110 speed, 7,000 HP, and 2,000 magic, with 18 defense, 11 spirit, and 26 for single target and AoE resistance. Overall, a rather impressive bolstering of stats, something that you would expect from a 100 cost character wall. But with that being said, is he actually good enough? Well, the big story here is strike resistance. And that's the reason why we have the team that we're going to be going up with just the way it is. 43% strike resistance with the current build. If you really wanted to, there's probably other ways of increasing this, but let me I guess I should open this video with explaining exactly what Soul is supposed to be. Soul is supposed to be a character that is meant to solve a problem that every Wotv player has, but not every Wotv player will care about. And that problem is Bridal Laya and the kind of terror that strike teams have been bringing to the field lately. And I guess fire is supposed to be the balancing act with that. And it's totally possible, because Soul does look like he's just so anti-strike that he could really push those strike teams just out, mostly on his own. But to me, that just doesn't mean necessarily that he is a must-have for most people. He's a must-have for some people. So let's take a look at the data. So starting off, this is a non-permanent unit. You will be able to get this unit at any time in the future off multiple polls as an off banner, and will be on select unit banners in the future. Fire elemental character, 3 move, 1 jump, scholar, rune knight subs, with his own main job. Not sure if we'll ever see that job transferred to anybody else. Very unlikely, but you never know. Hat, clothing, and accessories. Looking at his TMR, clothing is considered to be a piece of armor, 333 HP, 11 defense, 6 spirit, 8 critical evade. With the following effect, grant the following effect upon hit for allies. Increase human killer by 20 for 3 turns when attacking with a physical attack for 3 turns. Decreased chance of being targeted, which I think is pretty cool. It is just a great part, or a great thing for a mage to have, or a healer potentially, that can buff friendly physical units. Also, multiple casts on it mean that it is pretty good for just clan, guild war, all that's PvP stuff that people out there are really looking for. Master ability, single target resistance, reaction block rate, and dream ability is strike resistance and critical evasion. So that's partly where some of his resistances are coming from. Busting over into skills, the two new ones are this, which I think is absolutely insane. Magic of 24%, spirit penetration of 40%, magic attack resistance penetration of 30%, and healing power of 15. It literally is everything. It is everything that you've ever wanted, all on one support skill, and you'll never take this off this character. As for his other skill, decreased chance of being targeted by 5, increased single at the target resistance of 12, and a 200% chance of float. So finally, that that float character we've all been waiting for since Gilgamesh. And yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff in here that people might like. Skill activation time down, defense and accuracy, and just some other things that give him a little bit of flexibility, but his main two support skills are definitely strong. As for his counter, chance to counter, slash, and strike at 70% chance. Reducing the damage taken by 40% means that he is particularly good against 2 damage types, which is fairly common for most units being added to the game right now. But well, heck, I thought there was going to be a but there, but not really. All right, and so I guess we get into just some other stuff. So let's talk about Limit Burst first. Dispel Shell for targets, Dispel Ignore Fatal Damage for targets, 200% mod, 67% chance of poison, while if poison is in effect, decrease attack by 40%, healing power by 50%, and fire resistance by 25%. Really is just a huge enabler. I mean, poison can be pretty nasty with the amount of high HP that a lot of units have. You're also getting like just a bunch of benefits, provided that poison is in effect. And there are some other units that can potentially get poison, so kind of could be an interesting combination. Status effects, maybe. So next up, subjobs. Rune Knight basically gives the absorb HP while also upping attack power and slash attack resistance penetration. Very clearly you're here for the magic boost and potentially the healing, since his healing is improved. Ice Killer consumes own HP to increase magic, decrease fire resistance, and consume HP for dispelling shell on targets while also dealing a high mod. Rune Knight, pretty nice for giving him some extra attack capabilities while also some extra healing capabilities. I think Rune Knight is a perfectly good choice for Soul. As for Scholar, more defensive. If you were trying to do a more defensive build and increase casting time, this is essentially what you're looking for. There are a few attack skills in here, but I think if you want Scholar, you're going on the defensive side. And now that brings us to his main kit. So primary ability is just a sure hit ability, which is great for dealing with some evasion characters. He also has this ability, which increases his magic power and critical evasion for multiple turns, while also giving a secondary effect. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Reducing physical damage taken with a barrier creation skill with protect, strike resistance, and more strike resistance. 15% for allies, but 35% for fire allies, which is kind of an interesting additional clause of giving a little bit more synergy for fire characters and running fire characters with him. But overall, this ability is just super anti-physical and really anti-strength. From there, we have a damage ability where if one of the effects, Auto Restore, Haste, or Berserk, is on target, Berserk can be pretty fairly regularly gone from monster limit burst. You do get you do have a 50% chance to inflict poison for 3 turns, with an extra 25% chance, which is pretty good. Getting that poison means that you are also getting some other stuff off the limit burst, so great. And to select 2 targets, breaking magical barriers, fairly good mod. Automatically casting an ability that also getting a decrease of AP, and I do believe that is supposed to be the which one? Yeah, it's this one, which is the Restore HP, which we'll show off in a second here. And this one, increasing Restore HP for self, increasing effect by 120 for each enemy killed, which is his final skill, which is another select 2 targets. Also removing Ignore Fatal Spirit and fatal damage for target. When the target is automatically killed, cast that. So interesting or just abilities that this character has. I think really strong across the board. Very synergistic with himself. Incredibly synergistic if you have just a bunch of magic characters, pushing him more towards magic DPS. But everything feels really great here. I think he's quite capable of even going toe-to-toe with a good amount of magic characters, but really he is just so strong against physical. And so we are going to be going right with this group and testing out against some strike units because that is his specialty. So wait for it to load up. This is our new map. The one thing I want to say before we get too far into this is that I do think that this character is a 100% anti-physical, very clearly PvP style character. Like, this character is just really going to be kind of a great character in PvP so long as Strike is powerful. And Bridal Light will be powerful for a good amount of time. So probably just good enough to be run. So the one skill that we are looking for here is... let's see here. We got the HP heal. I kind of misplaced where I put his data. I am looking for... and also I have too many screens open too, but that's another issue. I mean, look at him. He is floating. He's totally floating. All right. Now, this is the skill, which if you go check on Wotv Calc, this one is incomplete in the actual data on the screen. If we do just a compulsory quick translation of them. Increase own magic power by 3 turns, greatly increase critical evasion rate, gives the effect to reduce damage received as the attack gets wider. So from the way I understand this is basically if the AoE attack is like a bigger one, like a diamond style AoE, it's supposed to reduce the damage that is taken by him. So that's the way I read that. We're going to be doing that. We're also just going to take a little peek at his stats here. No, we're not, because I moved Preen somewhere too close. Got some units moving. Well, it's kind of like this honeycomb style effect that we're seeing. We've seen it on Cloud, or Squall, I should say, and we're seeing it in a few different types of applications. So, right, next up, we're just going to be a boost. We're going to be moving our strike units together. We're going to be running this anti-strike second here. Got a bunch of other little units here to ruin our day. And next up, let's run that bit of strike resistance. Now, I do believe this is the one. But before I cast it, I am going to check. I am not the most familiar with this character yet. Because we want the HP barrier, we want all of that. And I do believe it is not that one. Too many abilities. Okay, it is this one. Correct? But just want to make sure. So now we have Bridal Elia here, one of the strongest DPSs in the game. And this team may or not be the general best, but you can see here the type of damage that she is capable of doing. She is a very powerful character off of just one ability that we have chosen to hit here. And you can see that Soul is just receiving negative damage because of his barrier, which is overall generally good, but we're also looking at just a lot of strike resistance here. So let's just go through, check out some of the others. So single target, really not doing all that much. And of course, for select a target, which is, again, very, very powerful. But as you can see, we're just having a hard time getting through it. So we're going to jump over here. We're just going to punch this pretty face, try and get through that barrier really quickly, do a few other things. Even Preen here, who is generally really, really strong. Going down the list, trying to get through this barrier. Having a hard time. Hoping that this is finally going to get through here so we can... So you can kind of see just how durable, even with his barrier. We haven't even tried his limit burst yet, so going across the board here. 100% chance to poison on Bridal Elia with only a 33.3, or sorry, probably 33.3, repeating of course, type chance for counter, which is generally pretty good. But you can see that Soul is pretty powerful, even against himself. Gives you a little bit of an idea how much damage a mage would be able to hit him with. But we're getting just a lot of potential attacks and benefits off. And this isn't necessarily even the most type damage that he could do. We could potentially do even more than that. So let's take a look here. We have this one. We'll even just go up here, try it against some enemies, and here you can see the type of healing that he is capable of. But more importantly, it's healing off of essentially an attack that he is doing still, and one of the select target attacks, which are just really powerful. It is essentially the thing that I like incredibly a lot with Varus, and I like it a lot here. I think that it is a very strong attribute to be able to do that kind of damage while also healing yourself up that much. And just the amount that he is capable of restoring is the heal based on damage dealt. I actually am recording this video live. To my knowledge, no. It is a 120 mod heal for himself. It is not increased. The one that is essentially increased is how many units he kills ability. So let's continue to repeatedly beat Saul. Look, we're finally through that barrier. Took a while, but we got there. Excellent. And he even evaded. He's truly a fire character. But now we can test out here with our characters like Bridal Elia just how much damage. And this is obviously here we do have a water character versus a lightning character, so even just a lightning character here but an SSR, but you can see how much damage reduction this character is capable of doing. If you want to essentially have an incredible leg up on the PvP, Saul seems just insane, just really great, whether you do him with mixed elements and job BCs or just in general. Like, Soul is a really, really strong character. in general, but incredibly strong if you want to leverage against one of the most powerful and most common teams in high tier arena. This is essentially it. So yeah, we're gonna, I think, just not pummel Saul too much. Yeah, we'll give him a little bit of a punch. The only 899, which doesn't seem like that much, but when you see how much this character can do, it is quite staggering. So last thing here, before we let the AI just clean this up, I do want to do this one ability of his to try the healing that he gets off of this. So we're going to choose not you, we're going to choose you. As you can see, we're doing good, pretty high amount of damage. Boom. Pretty good. Although it did seem to be line of sight. Interesting. So yeah, Soul at the end of the day, I think, is a big win for the fire element for being incredibly competitive against really strong teams. Whether he is generally good enough to just handle every type of enemy possible, it does seem like just the pure amount of physical teams that are hanging around right now will be good for him to leverage a lot of wins and his generally powerful kit. But a very anti-physical mage that is a huge answer towards the problem of potentially just really strong strike units and giving fire a new direction that seems really good for itself. So hopefully you have enjoyed taking a peek here. Obviously, we'll see more testing of this unit in the near future, what kind of teams he ends up being with, how his AI works. We can see that already it seems like he's pretty good at casting defense abilities. Probably, if I had to pick out a few, like any weakness, might just generally be his somewhat short range on a fair number of his abilities, meaning that he does need to get close. Of course, he has high defensive capabilities to keep him safe, but I think that really, it could potentially get him closer to a mage, which might be more problematic. But we'll end this video with showing off his limit burst animation because it's just super cool. But I am a big fan of Saul, and I look forward to, just the fact that he's a permanent unit bodes pretty well for people who are looking for just a really awesome permanent unit. All right, let's jump over here. Wait for it to load. Jump into this menu right here, and here is his limit burst animation, which unsurprisingly, top tier. So thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you next time.